Ireland's Deputy Prime Minister Leo Varadkar has issued a Brexit warning to Boris Johnson, saying the UK's access to the European market is not unconditional as he sought to dampen the bright mood among Brexiteers over the trade deal. The Tenaste said the UK-EU trade deal allows British businesses to have access to the single market but certain conditions would have to be met. He warned of possible punishments for Britain if it strayed too far from EU rules and regulations. Mr. Varadkar told Newstalk, "It does still give them access to the European single market, a market of 400 million people, the biggest and wealthiest market in the world. They don't have to pay tariffs or quotas either, which is advantageous to them. But it's not unconditional, so what they have agreed to is what we call a level playing field. They have agreed to a non-regression clause in all but name, so we said you can only have access to the market if you don't reduce your standards when it comes to workers' rights, the environment, health and safety, product standards, all of those things. If they do reduce their standards or don't keep with our standards, then that access to our market could be threatened. They have to largely follow European rules where they are relevant." He risked angering Brexiteers by suggesting the UK could be penalised for going its own way. He acknowledged the UK has the sovereignty and power to decide its own course, but warned of consequences. Mr. Varadkar said, "But if they do deviate too much then they lose access to the market, and the truth is the lunar pull isn't a bad analogy." He said as the UK seeks to carve out its own path away from the EU, it must remember that it is surrounded by a massive market on all sides. He added, "You can't get away from the obvious geography that Britain is in Europe, geographically, and if Europe is the Earth then Britain, which is much smaller, is the Moon. There's no way to take Britain out of Europe. You can take Britain out of the EU, but not Europe. The reality is when you are surrounded by a massive market on all sides, you are always going to have to be cognizant of the fact that that market has rules and regulations." And touching on post-Brexit relations between Ireland and the UK, Mr. Varadkar said very little will change around travel rules for Irish and British citizens. He said, "They still will be able to travel freely to Britain and live, work and study there. Other Europeans won't, but that's a special arrangement that we have because of the Irish Protocol and Common Travel Area. British people will still be able to come here."